that is when I realized we was poor. Prior to that, I didn't even know we was already poor, but I didn't know. Because we still was able to see, we didn't go without eating.
Basic needs.
But yeah, basically needs of man. When my father passed away, that's when I used to go to bed at night sometimes without no food. So then I started stealing. I would go to the store and I would steal, or I would visit my friend's house at the time they get ready to eat dinner. And then, oh, you like to have something to eat? Yes, thank you, I like to have something to eat. So, so when I came back home, I was full. But my sisters and brothers who wasn't able to get around like I was able to get around, how old was I? I was 9 years old, my father passed away, but I didn't start leaving the house until I was around about 11, maybe 11. I would be, hanging out in the street. I'd be in the streets, and the friends that I would meet, people that we befriended one another, all of us had the same problems, but we didn't know we had the same problems. We just got along together. And
were you the oldest?
Yes, I was the oldest in my family. Yes, I was the oldest. But I always was involved in something constructive. Cause my grandparents and my parents instilled in me expectations of that I'm gonna have to be an example to my sisters and brothers, and I have to stand up and be responsible for certain things. So my childhood ended early, even though I didn't have the mental capacity for that type of responsibility and maturity, but I did the best I could, and I ended up continue to have run-ins with the law. I was constantly in trouble, some kind of way, and it had something to do with authority. And I was told to respect authority, do the right thing, other than me stealing to eat, or go in the store and then take an apple and take a couple bites out of it, then turn it back upside down. And so now I just still there. But I'm walking around the store chewing, And, I ended up stealing 2 dogs because we had started fighting dogs. But it wasn't like pit bulls. Pit bulls was not the most favorite dog back then. Back then, at the time I was growing up, German Shepherds, or any dog that had his ears sticking straight up to a point. Those were the dogs that were more popular. So we would fight those dogs. But I had a way of stealing dogs. A dog can be chained up in the yard. I'm gonna go back. I'll be going for a tangent sometimes. So if I go on the tangent, just bring it back. Sometimes I go off on the tangent, but I'll go into a yard and this dog, and then I'll slowly look around. But while I'm looking around, I'm constantly walking up on the dog. So I would get up there and I would go and I'd take the chain off of him. Then I would find out that those dogs was not as mean and vicious as we thought they were. They just was like that because they was chained up. But I had a way of doing that because I didn't have any real friends to talk to about my problem. Even though I had little friends who had friends, most of them had 2-parent homes. So I could not really, I never had a time to grieve because my cousin told me that boys is not supposed to cry. So when we went to the funeral, when my father passed away, I didn't cry. I just sit there trying to hold it in. And my cousin looked at me. I had a lot of respect for my cousin. He was almost 2 years older than me. But I looked up to him. So I didn't cry. But that was something in me that I never got over. So when I started growing up, thinking that that's behind me now, it didn't go away. So what affected me in childhood, I carried into adulthood. Anyway, I got put on probation for stealing some dogs. And although
how old were you at that point?
I was 12.
12.
Mm-hmm. I was
probation
12.
at 12.
Yes, I was 12. I had probation until I was 18. But my probation officer ended up getting another job as a high school basketball coach. But I was never formally told I was transferred to another agent. So I just went around throughout the rest of my life till I turned 18. And when I turned 18, I had caught a felony case. And that's when I learned that I was still on probation, didn't know it. But being I had turned 18, it was too late by that time. So they couldn't violate me and send me to boys' school because of probation violation. So I ended up continuing to get in trouble, involving myself in gangs, which is a little different for me to talk about gangs than what's going on now. We wasn't drug gangs. See, being a drug addict or being an alcoholic for that matter was something that was disfavored by the gangs. You know, gang members didn't get drunk. You had to be sober to fight. And you didn't use drugs because that was one of the lowest things you can do to yourself. You know, plus I was scared of needles too. So, and plus it was not widely accessible. You know, although it was around, it was not, the people that was involved kept it from the children. It wasn't all out in the open like it is now. So you'll see things now that's in the open that you wouldn't. You know, a child 2 years old now seeing more than when I seen when I was 18. You know, so they really got it really hard. So these are some of the things of how I began to get socialized. Even though it was a dysfunctional socialization, it was something that I always was looking to do the right thing. Even though I was doing wrong, we would help. I saw a woman being raped once. Well, we thought that it was somebody who invaded our territory in Gary. We don't own nothing, but we claim it's our territory. But I kept hearing this sound, it was a woman's voice. Help me, you know, real low. And we was by a park at night. I had a gun on me, but everybody didn't have a gun, but I had one in my shirt pocket. I was 22. So we thought that, let's go that way. So we kind of like followed the voice to find out where's this coming from. So when we went like a little hill, there was a man on top of a woman. I couldn't really see what he had in his hands, but he had some kind of knife in his hand. So I threw it out on him and said, hey, stop, get up. So when he got up, we trying to find out who he is. Not thinking about the woman. We thinking about who he is and where you from. But then this woman was like saying, thank you, whoever sent you, thank you. And so then I felt something for her. I said, man, you mess with this woman? What you mess with me? I don't want no trouble. I said, no, you think you tough. Well, this is some of the things that was affecting me. So I didn't really become no good Samaritan or somebody who was wanting to do right. That was the experience that I carried with me. I felt good about that. I said, wow, I actually felt good that I did something that was positive. So I ended up going to jail that year. That was in 1972. I ended up going to jail December 1972 for a home invasion robbery in which somebody was killed. So I ended up getting a deal for an indeterminate sentence of 2 to 21 years. So while I was in prison, I met some people from the Black Panther Party who had been incarcerated in Pendleton. And I used to watch them.
How much did you get sentenced to?
2 to 21 years. So you got both sentences. It's not like what it is now. You may get a certain amount of time and you do maybe less than half, but now it's like 80-85% now.
So at some point, a judge determines how much you do out of that 2 to 21?
No, the parole board would determine.
The parole board would determine.
Yes, so they had indeterminate sentences. The theory of the indeterminate sentences was you determine how much time you do.
Right.
I determine how much time I do by my conduct.
But they've done away with that system currently.
Yeah, they've done away with it now. They did away with it in 1977, but you still have a lot of people who was serving time, you know. So you had, I was convicted under the 1956 statute, Burns statute 1956. So anybody want to look that up, that's the law I was under in 1974. It was still in effect when I had pled guilty. 1956 Indiana Burns statute.
So you were serving out this sentence,
Mm-hmm.
and what actions took place during your time serving?
Well, that is when my real transformation began to take place.
Okay.
Because now I'm in prison and I'm seeing officials who I was told through all my years of going to school and And for my parents, I'm supposed to obey. But I was seeing them do things that was wrong. So I would be emotional. I say, that's wrong. You lying to me. You lying on me. Or if I was a witness for someone and they had received a write-up in prison for whatever the write-up was about. And they would always lie. So I say, he lied. So now I'm getting written up and punished and put on lock and put in a hole for doing that. They were saying I was what they call insolence. They even had a code for silent insolence. Like I might look at somebody and roll my eyes, and now I'm going to the hole. What are you going to the hole for? Silent insolence. So they even had a code for reckless eyeballing.
Not to interrupt you, but going right along with what you said, I wanted to say that because you were shocked about these lies that these people would blatantly tell, and I remember when I was 19, a long time ago, right, and I was at a park that got raided, young guys a lot of guys be selling drugs out there. It got raided. One of the task force officers instigated a fight with a friend of mine, a friend of mine to this day, as a matter of fact. And he instigated a fight with him and said, "You think you're tough? This is a cop, police officer, right?" And then my buddy said, "If you take off that badge and that gun, we could do whatever, And he did, and they fought, And then the other cops stopped everything, and then I happened to be in court because I got arrested too. I had to go to court, and that officer who instigated that with him, he stood up there and the judge asked the officer what happened, and he lied blatantly. And I remember, being a kid, not realizing that police lie. I actually believed myself that they tell the truth in all situations. Like the media and a lot of shows and a lot of different forums try to instill in your head, And I sat there in court and I heard him lying, and he said, "Well, I asked the gentleman to please not be insolent," And I was like, "Wait, he didn't say that. He never said that once." And then he attacked me, and I had to defend myself. I'm like, man, this dude is telling lie after lie. And we're sitting right there, everybody that it happened to, but we're voiceless because nobody's gonna believe us, And all I wanted to say was it didn't happen like he said it did. So, that becomes a shock, even when you come from these communities and you realize firsthand that, a lot of way that they say the system is structured, you see firsthand that it is not structured that way.
Yeah, that was really good. I hope that, see, another thing too, I didn't come in contact with lawyers prior to coming in contact with the, law enforcement. But while I was in prison, I met some attorneys from Indianapolis from the Legal Services Organization. And the Legal Services Organization are the attorneys that was there are who I was beginning to learn from. And they took interest in the prisoners' cases. And those attorneys were fresh out of law school. And the attorneys that at the time, I was 19. I was 19 by then, but the attorneys was like 21, 22 years old. And to me, that was old. But those were the people who were helping us to bring about these changes. So I did a lot of time in prison. I did over 42 years altogether. About 42 years. And I've seen a lot. And I've also, some of my friends I met in prison, I've seen their sons, I've seen their brothers, I've seen their grandsons, their nephews. Oh, I know your father, I know your uncle, I remember him. So generation after generation, I was seeing it's a cycle. It was a cycle. So I would learn, I would talk to young people because I was a functionally illiterate in the 12th grade when I was arrested. I was gonna be the